You guys. For the last couple of weeks, we have been learning about percents and how they apply in the real world. And today, this lesson is about simple interest. But before we move into learning how to use the simple interest formula, I wanted to talk to you about what simple interest is. So, simple interest is a formula that's used to calculate the amount of money that a person either pays or earns in interest. Okay, so I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but banks are a business, and the way that banks make money is they take the money that other people put into their savings accounts and they loan that money out so that people can buy cars or boats or houses or take out a personal loan. And then the bank, in order to make a profit, they make the people who took out that loan pay back the full amount of the loan, but they also have to pay what's called interest. Okay? And so, as a way for banks to incentivize people to put money into their bank so that they can then loan it out so they can make more money, what they do is they pay people interest for having savings accounts or checking accounts or other types of accounts where the people are letting the bank use their money. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, is the way that you calculate the interest paid. So the interest is the amount of money on top of the loan that you have to pay back, or it's the amount of money that the bank will give you based on the amount that you've deposited into your accounts. Okay, so simple interest. Let's go ahead and write out the formula. And as I go through these notes, I want you to make sure that you are following along with me. So at the top of the notes, it says simple interest, that's going to be our I, is equal to P R T. And because these three variables are right next to each other, this is implied multiplication. So to calculate simple interest, you take P, which is principal. So that is the starting amount. So go ahead and make yourself a little note that P stands for principal, and that is your starting amount. And then R, so we're going to take the principal, which is our starting amount. We are going to multiply it by R, which is the rate. This rate is always a percentage, and we're going to be multiplying the percentage with the total principal, okay? And then the T stands for time, okay? And it's important to know that this is time in years. Okay? And then the I, that is for interest. Either earned if you are depositing money in the bank, or the interest that you're going to pay if you took out a loan. Okay? So on your notes, where it says try it, it says Maria deposits $400 into a savings account that earns 3% simple interest each year. How much interest will she earn over 5 years, assuming she does not add or take any money out? So the question that we're answering is, how much interest will she earn? And we're going to use the formula. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. And if you look back at the word problem, it says she deposits $400. So that means her principal, the starting amount, is going to be $400. And then it also says that the account earns 3% simple interest. So the rate is 3%. And when we multiply a percentage, you guys know that we're going to always change that to a decimal. And then the time in years, it tells us is 5. Okay, so the way that this works, in order to calculate the I, which is the interest earned, which is what we want to know, we take the principal, which is 400. We're going to multiply that by the rate, which is 0.03, and then we multiply that by time. And when we do that, we get I is equal to 60. Okay, so if she deposits $400 into a savings account and it earns a 3% rate and she leaves it in the account for 5 years, she's going to make $60. So just for having her money in the bank, she makes $60. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, so for the next one it says, and I want you to read along, Mr. Spire took out a $15,000 loan to replace the windows in his house. He agreed to pay back the loan plus 7% simple interest at the end of 3 years. How much interest did Mr. Spire pay? So this time we want to know the interest that he paid. Okay, so we're going to use the formula. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. And in this particular question, the principal, or the starting amount or loan amount, is going to be $15,000. So that will be our P. Okay. The R this time is 7%. So that's going to be 0.07. Make sure that you are writing all of this down on your paper underneath this question. And then for the time is 3 years. Okay, so if we want to know how much he is going to pay in interest, we have to we know that the interest is going to be equal to the principal, which is $15,000, times by the rate, which is 0.07, times by the time, which is 3 years. And that is equal to 3,150. Okay, now this is the cost of the loan basically. So he has to pay back all of the $15,000 that he borrowed, plus he has to pay an additional $3,150 in interest. Okay, that's how the banks make money. They make this interest portion. Okay, let's go to the next one. Okay, for the next one it says Joe put $5,000 into an account that paid 9% simple interest. What was the balance in the account after 2 years, assuming he did not add or take out any money? Okay, this time it wants to know the balance in the account after 2 years, and the formula we're going to use is interest is equal to principal times rate times time. And if he leaves $5,000, that's our principal. So our P is going to be 5,000. If he leaves that amount of money in the bank for 2 years and he doesn't take it out, and the rate that he is earning is 9%, which is 0.09, and the time is 2 years. We want to know how much is then going to be in the account, what the balance of the account is. So let's first calculate the interest, which we're going to do by taking our principal times our rate times our time, and that gives us 90. So that's the amount of money that he is going to earn just for having his money in the bank. And then his starting balance was 5,000. So now we will add the 90 that he made just for having a savings account. And at the end of 2 years, he's going to have $5,090 as his account balance. Okay, question. Okay, the next one says Raymond set aside $750 in a savings account that paid 4.5% simple interest. He did not deposit or withdraw any money. What was the balance in the account after 6 years? Okay, so this time we're going to use our formula. Interest is equal to principal times rate times time. we know that the principal is $750. We know that the rate is 4.5%, which means 4.5 out of 100. So that is going to be 0.045, and then for 6 years. Okay, so we are going to now calculate the interest, and then we can calculate the balance of the account. So the simple interest earned is $202.50. So if he started out with $750 and that interest was paying a 4.5% and he left it in for 6 years, his account balance would now be $952.50. Okay, last question. It says Rooms For You offers buyers a loan with 1.8% simple interest for 5 years. Shay used this loan to purchase $3,800 worth of furniture. How much interest did she pay after 5 years? Okay, so the interest equals principal times rate times time. Our starting loan amount was $3,800. That goes in for the principal. The rate this time, 1.8%. To change that so we can use it in our problem, we need to take that 1.8 and divide by 100, which is going to be 0.018. And then we have to times that by 5. Okay, and that gives us $342. That is what she is going to pay in interest. So it's important to remember that when you take out a loan, to be able to buy something that you don't have the money for right then, if you take out a loan, you're going to have to pay back all of the loan amount. So she has to pay back this whole $3,800, plus she has to pay this extra $342 in interest. So taking out loans for things like houses, things that are going to appreciate, that is an okay thing to do financially, but you don't want to be taking out a bunch of loans for things that you really don't need, because at the end of the day, that thing ends up costing you a lot more money than if you just save up the money and pay for it with the cash you have. Okay, so now I need you to go to Alex, and you are going to do the simple interest assignment in Alex.